breaking down the barriers to accessing menstrual products in Indigenous communities. That's the goal of the self-described period equity group Moontime Connections. With more on their work, we're joined by Veronica Brown, Education Director and Ontario Chapter Lead. Veronica, thank you so much for being with us here today. Let's dive right into it. This is a basic human right to be able to have access to these products, the education, as well as the supports here. But there are communities here in Canada that are faced with barriers. Can you talk a little bit about what period inequity looks like in communities that you're serving right now?
Absolutely. Last year in 2024 of March, we released our very first research paper that gave us some really good, a larger picture on what the data looked like in terms of period inequity within Northern Canada specifically. And from that data, we received that respondents in Northern Indigenous communities, 74% had issues accessing menstrual products, which is a pretty significant barrier when we're looking at attending school or going to work, joining into programming within your community. It actually creates a major barrier to accessing everyday life.
So walk us through, your organization and how it looks to fill in these gaps in communities where maybe it's been difficult to access menstrual products, and mostly in northern communities. And I love that you prioritize the dignity of choice here.
Absolutely. So when we're doing outreach to community, we make sure that we are building really strong relationships with people. So midwifery programs, different educational programs, social services programs, food banks if they have them, shelters if they have them. We really want to make sure that we have a better understanding of the need within the community. We look at access to clean water, we look at oral traditions and what that speaks to in terms of using inserters like tampons or reusable products like discs or cups. And we make sure that the person who we are creating that relationship with is able to then communicate what they feel is important for their community. So they fill out a request form with a very large list of all of the products that we're able to offer, from reusable to disposable, and we send only the requested items. So we have different partners with different businesses and companies and organizations, and we take in that product and then we distribute it based on the request forms that are coming in.
And I know you're making it seem, not easy, but your organization also is met with challenges in being able to bring these products to the community here. And some may be surprised to know that one of those challenges is logistics, for instance. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Logistics is very tricky for the North. So Canada Post plays a major role in that, which is really, really lovely. They are able to offer flat rate boxes, which help us to ship. We work with a variety of different shipping companies with different airlines. But at the end of the day, if we don't have funding, if we don't have monetary donations, we can get product in from our community. Right now, we're doing a drive in Ontario for product. But if we don't have monetary donations or funding or federal funding, then those products have to sit there until we are able to pay for the shipping, which is incredibly expensive.
You mentioned funding there. Your organization did receive funding from the federal government here. We should note that the pilot project is set to wrap up at the end of this month, March 31st, and your organization says this is a period of uncertainty for you here. Can you talk to us about how this will impact your operations?
We are incredibly grateful for Wage and for Food Banks Canada for funding us within product as well as within our education program. And that really gave us a platform that we had never really been able to access before. And so we're really thankful for that. But obviously, with the internal change and leadership that is coming and with everything that's going on internationally, a lot of people who are relying on federal grants are kind of just waiting to see what happens. I mean, our roots are within our community, and we have been started in community, and we continue to be supported by community 100% of the way. So regardless of federal funding, we will continue doing what we are doing. But I mean, our hope is that whatever political party does come into power, that they understand the importance of the work that we're doing, the importance that we're doing to revitalize Indigenous language and support oral traditions and ceremony around Moontime, as well as women's health overall.
And can I quickly ask you, we are nearing the end, but I have to get this question in here. The work that you've done here and the impact you've had on Indigenous communities, this is a topic that's maybe difficult for a lot of people to talk about. There might be some shame associated with it, taboo. Some people are just uncomfortable speaking about this. How has the work that your organization done impacted Indigenous communities? And what do you think the loss will be if you're no longer able to operate?
Our education program has been phenomenal, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we have done. We have had all of our education presentations translated into 6 traditional languages. So seeing that, reproductive system with traditional language labels on it is incredibly powerful for youth specifically, and to help to destigmatize that work. So the facilitators that we are training to bring in this education into their own communities have reported that it is incredibly impactful for the youth, for the women who never got that training or education earlier, for access to two-spirit, non-binary and trans menstruator support and awareness and understanding, and then also for caregivers. So how do we have that conversation with youth? And we're addressing all of those things. And now we're going into support for period pain and support around that and access to gynecologists. So this is incredibly impactful work that we are doing. And we are just grateful for platforms like this where we can talk about it and bring awareness.
Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. Veronica Brown with Moontime Connections. We'll stay in touch with you, see how things go. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Thank you.
Thank you.